We'll start with our top story of the night. We have been waiting for answers about the murder of Star City teenager Skylar Neese. We learned some details when Rachel Schoaf stepped forward and confessed in 2013. But now her co-conspirator has done the same. SHELIA EDDY has pleaded guilty to Skylar's murder. Andrew Clay was in the courtroom today, and he has all of the details.
After pleading to first-degree murder, SHELIA EDDY now faces life in prison with possible parole after 15 years. Today's plea hearing was very emotional, especially for the Neese family.
Since that date, my wife's life has drastically altered. We are no longer a family. The person sitting before you, Skylar's so-called friend, took her away from us without any remorse or feelings. You can look into the eyes of those who are responsible, but you can never hear what they heard as they were taking her life.
What turned this teen on her best friend still remains much of a mystery. Prosecutor Marsha Ashdown says Eddy and her co-conspirator, Rachel Schoaf, began distancing themselves from Neese and planned to kill her to ensure their secrets were kept. Instead of just saying, well, let's not call Skylar anymore, or let's not have Skylar on a sleepover anymore, let's kill her. And they did. Ashdown said what those secrets are still remain much of a mystery. Neese was last seen in July of 2012. Ashdown says that night Skylar thought she was going joyriding with her friends where they planned to smoke pot. Instead, her friends repeatedly stabbed her until she died, and later told investigators they dropped her off near her home that night. Because those girls were best friends with Skylar, police had little reason to disbelieve them. Even Dave and Mary would certainly not have believed that the best friends could have killed their daughter. That was an obstacle in the beginning. The tide shifted on the case when Schoaf's story changed. She eventually led investigators to Neese's remains last January and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. She named Eddy as a co-conspirator. 18 months after Skylar disappeared, her killers are now convicted, but the Neese family says it's far from closure.
There's no closure at all, I don't think. I mean, who knows how my mind works right now. I don't think it'll ever be closed. My little girl was something you can't close.
Schoaf has yet to be sentenced, and she could face up to 40 years in prison. Reporting in Morgantown for 12 News, I'm Andrew Clay.
Andrew Clay are live with us. This from the Monongalia County Courthouse.
Thanks, Don. We expected today to be a pre-trial hearing, but in a surprise move, as you mentioned, SHELIA EDDY did plead to first-degree murder of Skylar Neese. Now, I was watching the proceedings from a media room. Andrew, you were actually inside the courtroom today. So what was it like in there? What were the emotions like?
Well, the emotions, it was very emotional. There were very few dry eyes, especially when Marsha Ashdown, the prosecutor, described what just happened that night when she says Neese thought she was going out with two of her friends on a nice drive to just smoke some pot. But instead, SHELIA EDDY and co-conspirator Rachel Schoaf had other plans and wound up stabbing her to death. Now, Ashdown says the two had a story, which was easy to believe considering the close relationship of the three.
Because those girls were best friends with Skylar, police had little reason to disbelieve them. Even Dave and Mary would certainly not have believed that the best friends could have killed their daughter. So that was an obstacle in the beginning.
Now, during the sentencing portion of this hearing, Dave Neese had a chance, and the Neese family had a chance to make a statement. Here's what Neese had to say.
Since that date, my wife's life has drastically altered. We are no longer a family. The person sitting before you, Skylar's so-called friend, took her away from us without any remorse or feelings. You can look into the eyes of those who are responsible, but you can never hear what they heard as they were taking her life.
Very emotional day, certainly in the courtroom. And as a result, SHELIA EDDY, because of her plea agreement, she's not going to face charges in the state of Pennsylvania, where Skylar Neese's body was later found. She's also not going to face any federal charges because, of course, that crime then crossed state lines. She was sentenced later today to serve life in prison with a possibility of parole. after 15 years. And of course, we have so much more on this story for you already posted on WBOY.com. Andrew and I have been tweeting and posting on Facebook about it all day as well. So you can certainly learn much more. And Andrew, you're going to have even more about this tonight at 11.
Yeah, I'll have even more tonight at 11, and so please join us again. This story is still not done, though. Rachel Schoaf yet to be sentenced. Ashdown said she hopes that comes very soon.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Well, for Andrew Clay, I'm Stacey Minot live in Morgantown. Dawn, we'll send it back to you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to 12 News First Edition. Our top story: SHELIA EDDY pleads guilty to the murder of Skylar Neese. Our Stacey Minot and Andrew Clay are live with us from the Monongalia County Courthouse.
Thanks, Don. Andrew is actually back in the courthouse right now. He just finished speaking with the Neese family following today's plea agreement. He's working with that sound, and he'll bring you more from the Neese family coming up tonight at 6. Today, what we do know is that SHELIA EDDY pleaded to the first-degree murder of the girl that she once called her best friend, Skylar Neese. This happened in July of 2012, and prosecuting attorney Marcia Ashdown told the court today that what the state would have proved if SHELIA EDDY had gone to trial is that Eddy and another teenager, Rachel Schoaf, planned this murder in advance. They say that their friendship with Skylar was falling apart, and according to Ashdown, that they were afraid of the secrets that Skylar would reveal about them. Now, we don't know anything about those secrets here today. What we do know is that Eddy will be spending life in prison. That was the sentence handed down today by Judge Russell Clauges, though she will be eligible for parole after 15 years. Ashdown said that during the commission of that murder, Eddy and Rachel Schoaf stabbed Skylar with kitchen knives that they'd hidden on their bodies, and that the two girls stood over Skylar's body until the very last breath. This was a very emotional day for the Neese family. They were crying and comforting one another in the Monongalia County Courthouse, and they were ready to speak before Eddy's sentencing. Let's hear what they had to say.
SHELIA EDDY and Rachel Schoaf had begun to distance themselves from Skylar. They had begun to fear that their friendship would dissolve. And if that were to happen, SHELIA and Rachel worried that Skylar would divulge their secrets.
That statement coming from prosecuting attorney Marcia Ashdown. Again, Andrew is editing video right now as we speak of his interview with the Neese family following today's plea agreement. Another part of that plea agreement is that Eddy will no longer face charges in the state of Pennsylvania, where Skylar Neese's body was found, or by federal prosecutors, because the commission of the crime did occur across state lines. Again, live coverage continues tonight at 5:30 as well as 6. Andrew Clay and I will have much more. For now, reporting live in Morgantown, I'm Stacey Minot. Dawn, back to you.